Hi, on this episode you'll see me try to do a XC flight from Bjellandsfjellet to Storaberget in Norway. You'll see me find myself in a very turbulent valley, very low and almost stalling my glider. On the hike up, I'll give you some tips and tricks, how to spot the thermals, how to see the wind. So pay attention, watch to the end. And I'm really thrilled if you give me a comment or click the subscribe button. Yeah, just landed. Been working offshore. Yeah, I do work sometimes. And like 1 hour ago I landed, and now I'm on my way up to the top to see how the conditions are today. So, yeah, I have to admit, I am a paragliding addict. Everybody's talking about like how cool, how amazing, how good paragliding is. Nobody tells you how addictive it is. Airmanship. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about it. I know what I'm failing on airmanship is especially this. Make sure that you have rested well, you're fit for flying, because if it is flyable conditions, well, I have to be pretty fatigued to not fly. So that's what they don't tell you about this sport. It's so addictive. Once you're in, you don't get out, and you can't even enjoy a normal day if it's flyable weather. If you're not in the air, you can't relax. You just want to fly, or that's at least how it is for me. So that's my confession. Let me know in the comments below, what's your thoughts about airmanship? I haven't checked the forecast properly today. I just checked that it's 3 meters per second, significant, and 7 in gust. Yeah, airmanship. Know your limits. Know the weather limits. Know your equipment. If you fly with other people, respect their boundaries, don't push them. And pay attention to your own conditions as it will vary from day to day. I don't know. Can you think of anything else that has to do with airmanship? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to get a discussion. On the top, over there, I can see windmills, and I can see them spinning. And the windmills, they will start at approximately 4 meters per second. So they're a great indicator of how the conditions are. But keep in mind that they may have some maintenance and they can be still even though there is wind. Yeah, on takeoff. Looks good. Gusting, so probably thermic. And I could see some, I'm not sure what it's called in English. It looks like this mockingbird, svale we call them. And I'm trying to see where they dive, because if you look at them and if you see they are diving, that's center thermic, because that's where the small bugs get caught in the thermals and they can't escape from the center. So they are great indicators for spotting the bubble. Some knowledge. I fly the base 2 today from BGD, and on this takeoff it's still quite early and the sun hasn't quite started to heat off this west wind side yet. So my plan and hope is just to kind of ridge soar until I can find some thermals that can lift me high up. As you often will find on the blue sky day, it's quite bumpy in the air. So it's important to pay attention to the glider and its movement and fly actively. these days requires you to be a pilot, not just a passenger. I'm still struggling to gain some altitude, so I watch my Vario and just maintaining the altitude. That's the key goal, while I'm waiting for some bubble or some thermal to start working so I can get back up. As the wind is more northwest than west, I'm gonna try and just fly around the mountain and in the valley. I've had some success there earlier, and I'm gonna see if that works today. What's important to remember is when you fly in the valley like I do now, I go with the wind, which means that when I go back again, the wind's gonna be stronger due to it's pushed between two mountains. Today, the valley, it's not as pleasant as it used to be. The thermals are hard and they are small, and sometimes I find myself not penetrating the air, just dropping down like an elevator. I find myself on high alert. If I don't pay attention now, I might stall the glider, and on this altitude, that means the treetops for me. When I get out of this valley again, I didn't gain any altitude flying in there. I'm actually lower than when I flew in, so I just have to continue ridge soaring on the mountain, just trying to find any bubble that can take me up. And there it is, finally. Again, it shows patience is the key. If there is a small lift, you have to just be patient. Sooner or later, it will pick you up. Now I'm just above the mountain, and I'm in a much better position to be able to find any good bubble that I can actually start turning in. Because when I'm lower, I don't have the altitude, so I'm just going in figure of eights. But once I'm high enough, I can start doing circles, and it's a much easier way to get up. Suddenly, I see a seagull coring a bubble, and you can't get any better indication of a bubble than that. So I go direct for the seagull, and there it is. That bubble I've been patiently waiting for, scraping the terrain, and it takes me high up, and I can finally see Stavanger, I can see Hommersåk, I can see Jørpeland. And I also keep a close eye on my altitude, because the max altitude here, it's only 456 meters. And the airplanes they are doing their landings straight above this site, so you have to respect the rules and regulation. I let myself drift in the bubble towards the direction I'm headed. Storaberget. Such a nice location. I look at my altitude, 440 meters. That's just below the altitude max. So I pull my hands to the A-lines and I'm prepared to pull the airs, and I'm just flying straight to get out of the bubble. Pulling the air, a descent technique you have to be comfortable doing as a paragliding pilot, because you're gonna need it a lot. Look at this magnificent view. I'm headed for that small mountain in front of Storaberget. That's usually a good trigger spot for thermic, and I've used that several times. Once again, I find myself low, and I just have to do figure eights in front of the small mountain, just trying to catch any thermic that can go up. But it's really difficult today. I'm just patiently doing figure of eights, waiting and waiting. But it's also difficult today, as the air is quite turbulent, and I'm starting to realize I was too impatient leaving Bjellandsfjellet. I should have waited longer, give the sun more time to start heating up the area and get the correct angle on the mountains and on the fields down there. I was too eager, and it's too early. I'm gonna try to fly around this small mountain, see if the backside, which is more in direct sunlight, can give me anything at all. What's dangerous about the backside is that it's almost at the lee side due to the wind direction, and it can be quite turbulent. I was hoping to fly back home today, but today I just didn't manage, and I'm gonna do the long walk of shame back home. After struggling in this area for some time now, I admit defeat and I head for a safe landing, and I choose the biggest field. The landing wind is quite strong, gives me a nice and soft landing, and I'm safe back on the ground. Yeah, landed. So conditions were difficult, but that was fun. So tight bubbles, and it was quite hard to get. And finally, I caught up with a seagull. He was turtling, so I managed to follow him to height limitation, and then I headed for Storaberget. And I tried for quite some time. I managed to keep the altitude over here, but I couldn't get enough again to go back up again, and it was quite turbulent in this area. So I decided to just save it and land here. Would be nice to fly back, but no, that didn't work today. So, alright, need to pack. This is so cool about paragliding. Suddenly you find yourself on these beautiful locations that you would never try to go to unless you were actually forced to land there. Thank you for watching, and give me a comment. Subscribe for more. See you on the next one.